Majora's Mask is renowned for its impressive glitches and tricks. Today, we'll start off simple with bottle duping. This glitch allows us to duplicate a bottle over another item slot. There are a few ways to pull this off, but this is the easiest. First, get a bottle in your hand and catch something like bugs or a fish. Then, hold ESS position. ESS stands for Extended Super Slide, but that's irrelevant right now. ESS is the slightest you can push the control stick without making Link move. In fact, he should just kind of shuffle his feet there. Once in ESS position, press the bottle button and then almost immediately press another item to dupe over. You will lose this other item, so be careful. You can dupe over most masks and most any item that has a 0 for the ammo count. For example, nuts or stick here. If done correctly, you should hear this error sound, which is good. And there you go, bottle has been duped. Last time, we learned how to dupe bottles. But let's say you went dupe crazy and have all these extras. What's that good for? True, we can use them for catching more eggs or having more potions, but there is a funny glitch we can do with them too. After you beat Woodfall Temple, you'll find the Deku Princess hanging out where you have to capture her in a bottle to carry her to her father. Normally, you scoop her up and that's it. But if you have one of these dupe bottles, the game gets confused. It doesn't recognize that you have her in your inventory, so another princess pops up. So feel free to catch another. And another, and another, and another, until you have a full flock of princesses. Oh man. You can't do anything with them though. Only one ever pops out with a cutscene with her pops. The bird won't steal them. God, I hate that bird. And not even the Curiosity Shop man wants to buy them. What do I do with these? ISG, or Infinite Sword Glitch, is the cornerstone of many other glitches. As the name implies, this glitch creates an infinity sword, and it kind of looks like a lightsaber which slashes every single frame. Talk about deadly. To set it up, simply crouch stab, and during your stab animation, click A and interrupt it with something else. For example, talking to a person, or reading a sign. Or even picking up an item like a bomb, which means that you can set up ISG almost anywhere. Careful once you have it, as your camera will be different. You can't jump or fall off ledges, which is handy, and you can easily lose ISG by taking damage or a myriad of other ways. Practice up, because this glitch will be coming in handy in the future. Today, we're looking at the trick called long jump, and as the name suggests, this allows you to jump further than you would otherwise, without the need for any overt glitches. In order to jump in this game, you simply move towards an edge. The greater the speed, the greater the jump distance, which is why rolling or the bunny hood helps you jump further. Now, when Link is damaged, he moves quickly, albeit a short distance. If Link is hit right at an edge, he will launch off at incredible speed. This requires a damage source, which can be an enemy or a handy bomb that we can place anywhere. Many gaps in this game require just a little bit more distance than a regular jump, and there are plenty of places that the long jump comes in handy. But it doesn't just stop with Link. Zora Link can also utilize it, and due to his larger size, can get him across some impressive gaps. Okay, this isn't really a glitch or a trick, but I have to talk about the hookshot. In Majora's Mask, there is only one, but it's incredibly useful with a super long reach. Longer than what most people might assume. While the targeting reticle indicates what it can hit, it's not entirely always accurate. Sometimes we can get a little more distance than it shows. For example, you can just barely reach this torch here, skipping a large part of Snowhead. Another cool one skips ice arrows entirely. You can stand right here near the edge in Aona, where you would normally need ice arrows to freeze the Octoroks. And if you aim just so, you can hookshot straight up to the tree. So go out there and find some other unintentional hookshot spots. Hope you've been practicing your infinite sword glitch. We'll need it for this next one. Today, we cover hovering. In order to set this up, simply get ISG and find a damage source. Of course, an enemy can serve, but bombs and bomb chews are far more useful. Once you have ISG, target and perform a jump, typically a backflip to gain the most height. Once in midair, take damage while shielding and you'll find yourself floating. Note that you have to be a bit higher in the air or else you just drop to the ground if you're too low. Using bombs, you can time or count the flashes in order to find the moment it explodes. This can be a little bit difficult. Bomb chews, however, work instantly the second you take them out, which makes them the go-to item for hovering. With a bit of practice, you can hover nearly anywhere, clear gaps, skipping areas, or just looking like a boss. Hover on, my tricky friends. Today is about speed. Is backwalking not fast enough? Is Goron rolling just too pedestrian? Well, how about super sliding? First, we'll need to find something we can pick up, like grass. Notice how the action icon changes to grab. Next, we'll need a damage source, like an enemy. To set it up, while targeting, if we roll into a damage source while shielding and hit A as the icon changes to grab, well, this happens. Now, this is much easier to do with your own damage source, like bombs, which can be both picked up and used for damage. They're literally made for super sliding. With some practice, you'll be super sliding everywhere. Whoosh. Now here is a useful trick, but it can be a little tough to pull off. Oftentimes, we'll find that a wall is just a little too high to reach, even in Zora form. However, with a handy trick called a gainer, we can hop up there too. Gainer involves the use of a backflip, which gets Link just a little bit of height, which is key here. If we can stop the backflip from going backwards, then we've in essence created a vertical jump to perform this trick, a gainer. This setup is simple, but the execution is quite hard. Stand headlong against a wall and Z target, then backflip and release Z target at the exact same time. The frame after you backflip, which mind you, this game runs at 20 frames per second, so 1/20th of a second later, repress Z target and you will retarget the wall and climb up. You can perform this trick with or without pause buffering, but either way, it's really hard. So practice up. With only 3 days to beat the game, it'd be handy if we could stop time, right? Well, today we cover time stop. Now, before you get too excited, there are a few caveats to this glitch. Time stop can be used to stop time and allow Link to perform actions. When time is stopped, certain events and cutscenes won't trigger. Notice this long cutscene here in the beginning of the game with Skull Kid? Well, with time stop active, you can freely pass this trigger and get by. However, while time is stopped, there are a few things you can't do. You can't use your sword and your camera is all wonky. There are multiple ways to set it up, but this one involves the Gossip Stone, and it's easy. Ensure that your action button says check while standing in front of it. Then take out your ocarina and put it away as soon as possible. If done correctly, Tattle interrupts you and you'll notice the camera's wonky. Time has been stopped. Have fun with this one, time travelers. Majora's Mask has more heart pieces than any other Zelda game, 52 total, and getting them all can be a pain. So what if we could find a way to get them faster? We covered time stop before, and it can be used again today. With this glitch active, certain scenes won't process. For example, we can get the heart piece in this chest without having it open, technically, which means we can just continue to open the same chest over and over until, bam, 20. But I wonder, what if we wanted more? More. I said more. Eventually, your hearts will go straight off the screen if you get enough. And as you can see, these hearts are legit. They take damage just like normal. But there's just one thing. When you save and go back to the title screen, instead of your file looking like this, well, remember those extra hearts? They had to go somewhere. Now that's a healthy boy. The Zord Mask is unique in that you can equip this mask while in water, and notice what happens when you do so. It may not look like much, but Zora Link repositions himself into the air and falls a little bit. When you take it off, Child Link starts underwater and swims up. This is likely due to the respective model positioning during the transformation, and believe it or not, this quirk can be useful. In Stone Temple, there's normally a hand here which throws you up to this ledge, but if we transform into Zora here, we can just grab this platform. In Great Bay, there's a similar ledge, but it's a little more complicated. Notice how it didn't work here. Well, examine Link as he bounces up and down as he floats. If you time the Zord transformation as he bounces up, you can get Zord to just barely reach his ledge. Right on. You ever notice this owl statue here? It's actually quite unique. Notice how even if we activate it here, if we head to West Clocktown and look from here, it appears unactivated. So what's the deal? Well, this owl is a special one that is commonly referred to as the hidden owl statue, and it's incredibly powerful, allowing for a ton of unique glitches. Using ISG and bomb hovering, which we covered before, you can actually get Link over here without touching this loading zone. And once you're over here, you'll notice something strange. A lot of textures aren't properly loaded, and in fact, many floors simply don't exist. Oh, hi Postman. Bye, Postman. Anyway, you can activate the statue, but there won't be any cutscene like you would normally see. But otherwise, this acts as any other owl statue. Kinda. If you happen to save here and reload your game, you'll notice you won't pop up here, you'll appear in the mayor's residence. Think of this room as a ground zero. It's the default loading zone apparently for this game. Fun fact, if you get here early enough, you can see Madame Aroma hasn't loaded in there. Oh, hi there. There's gonna be a lot to cover with this one. Last time, we discovered the secrets of the hidden owl statue. This statue is wholly unique and allows for some wild glitches, and a useful one is index warping. Now, the owl statues are used for two things. One, to save temporarily, and two, to warp around with the Song of Soaring. Index warping is a glitch which allows us to fly to any owl statue in the game without having ever been there. To set it up, you must first activate the hidden owl statue, and only the statue. Once it's active, the game recognizes that you should be able to warp when you play the Song of Soaring. Problem is, you don't have any warp points set. So what happens? Well, the game tries to point you to another owl based on your current map selection. Whenever Link reaches a new area, these little cursors appear in the map. So the song will then send Link off to a brand new spot. In fact, there is an entire chained link of warps you can literally do to warp Link anywhere in the map. A few things though. If you try to move your cursor in the warp menu screen, the game will crash because you don't have anything unlocked. And if you try to warp to Stone Tower, you'll head to Entrance. Except we're not in a temple. So again, the game will crash. Happy warping. We've covered that human Link can be pushed to jump incredibly far distances by an explosion, but the effect is even more pronounced on our small little Deku friend. We can use this Deku Recoil to get to places we wouldn't otherwise dream of. For example, Kafei's hideout can only be accessed during certain times during the trading mini quest, but with the Deku Recoil, we can bounce right in, no problem, and it's empty in here. In fact, it can propel us so quickly, we can even blast past these big octos. Now that's pretty cool. Epona, our trusty steed. Wouldn't it be grand if our transformation masks could ride her? Today, we'll look at a glitch that does just that, and we'll start first with Deku. Now normally, if Deku tries to ride Epona, we get this message saying that we can't even get up there, so let's fix that. First, ride Epona is Child Link. We'll on it, interact with a stone owl statue, and temporarily save the game. There's a few caveats, but if done correctly, next time you load in, you will be on the horse. Now simply wait for Epona to stop moving, and though our C buttons aren't visible, we can still use them. So, equip Deku Mask. Now this is important. Once transformed, hit A again to ride Epona. And as you can see, despite that text, we're riding her. Take that, Tattle. Now, she operates just like normal, except when we try to use our bow, well, it kinda works, but the aim is off. And when we dismount, you'll notice that our sword has been replaced with Deku Nuts. That actually worked. Now, trust me, that'll be useful for another glitch. But for now, just enjoy riding Epona as Deku. Last time, we showed a glitch that allows Deku to ride our horse. Today, we're letting the others get in on the fun too. Performing the same glitch as before, let's start off with Goron. Wow, doesn't he just look magnificent up there? Notice how he sits higher on the initial screen. Navigating to a screen away will set the character lower on Epona, probably related to setting Link's height on a screen load. While Deku could shoot on Epona, likely because he already has a ranged bubble attack, Goron isn't capable of doing so, though he looks cool trying. However, pulling out the bow does some odd things to the overworld. It gets awfully glitchy out here, and if you try to get off the horse while using the bow, well, the game crashes. When Zora rides, he also looks great, until he sinks in a screen transition. The coolest part is that you can fire Zora boomerangs while on horseback. I love this so much. Why couldn't Zora ride the horse? Using the owl save statue trick with Epona, I mentioned before that you have to hit A while transformed. If you skip this step, then instead of riding as Link, you get to control Epona freely. Link just kinda hovers where he used to be and is stuck. But then again, so are we, as Epona isn't allowed to leave the screen by herself, and many of Epona's actions are actually limited. Setting up the glitch again, we can use some other masks. For example, the Fierce Deity mask. It works for about 2 seconds, until he tries to pull out the bow and soft lock the game. Using the Giant's mask is something else entirely. Attempting to don this mask forces Link to try to put on the mask, only for Link to get stuck in this animation here. Link? Hero? Are you okay? Epona, go grab the witches. I know we've covered a lot of Epona glitches, but today we're gonna horse around just a little more as we discuss a glitch to get Epona anywhere. Well, almost anywhere. Like running through Clocktown and its various areas, standing atop the Stone Temple Tower, or even taking her to the peak of the snowiest mountains. Best part, the setup is simple. Just save at any owl statue while on Epona. Loading back in will allow you to stay on her and use an item. In this case, we can equip Ocarina, so feel free to play any song you wish. In our case, we're going to play the Song of Soaring and fly with Epona anywhere you want. This has got to be one of my favorite glitches, and it's super easy to do. Where should we take Pona next? Weird Shot is a wildly precise glitch that allows the user to clip underground and use a ranged weapon, thus the name, a very weird shot. The setup is complicated, so I'll only give the basics here. To perform this advanced technique, you will need a shield, a bomb, and a ranged weapon, normally a hookshot to get linked to unreachable areas. First, drop a bomb, then target. While targeting, pull out a ranged weapon and quickly shield. This kind of interrupts your aiming. You then have to roll into the bomb on a specific frame, and while rolling, hold down a down left angle. Then press the ranged button, then release target on another specific frame, and voila, you should be hovering about 10 feet underground. Though, careful, this glitch is crash prone, as one wrong frame and it's over. Here's an easy one you can do early on. As Deku, you're not allowed to leave Clocktown. In fact, the game is in a kind of special prologue state. Certain items, NPCs act in a certain way, and time moves much faster than normal. Typically, you would need to have magic and retrieve your ocarina to become a human and escape, but there's another way. If you aim yourself at a guard and backwalk at a very slight angle, you can squeeze yourself right through. However, when you get outside, Termina is different. No actors are loaded, and sounds and music are very off. Wait a minute, the guards just said it was dangerous out there. But there's nothing out here. Guys,